Welcome, welcome. We're here for another wonderful session of Relead. By my notes, it looks like session 10, and I brought back a special guest with me today, Mr. Matt Sutter. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Absolutely. So the reason why I asked to have Matt on for this particular portion of Relead is because when I think about someone who is known for assisting leaders in growing a big business through recruiting, Matt is one of them. So Matt's going to add some additional commentary and some of his thoughts. And we are excited to dig into today's topic because last week we covered the recruiting strategies, a lot about the what and the how. And you know, it's interesting, you go to a lot of events and everyone says, yeah, you just got to spend 2 hours recruiting a day, 2 hours recruiting a day, 2 hours recruiting a day. And, you know, you probably walk away saying, okay, yeah, 2 hours of recruiting a day. I can do 2 hours of recruiting. That's no problem. And then you get back to your office and you're like, wait a minute, what does 2 hours of recruiting look like? I mean, what do I actually do in my 2 hours of recruiting? So today we're going to get into the nitty gritty of the exact scripts that I used back in the day. And also, I mean, I think of like 3 phases of growth I've gone through. And I know, Matt, you're familiar with these scripts because you used a variation of them as well. But I think about, you know, back in the day when I was a manager or team leader for Coldwell Banker, these were the exact scripts that I used to grow our office as fast as I grew it. And, you know, it's interesting. I felt kind of embarrassed when I was writing last night's note. #1 recruiter 2 years in a row. I have to put a disclaimer out there because you know me, I'm all about you got to master something. And I would say 2 years is not mastering it. Well, after 2 years is when we started Jeff Glover and Associates, right? So unless I was giving myself a top recruiter award, I couldn't continue doing that. So in a company at the time, the Coldwell Banker Metro Detroit was the largest and most productive in the state, and that's where I kind of got my start with these scripts. And then they transferred over to building a big team. You know, our team today is somewhere around 50, 65 associates. And, you know, obviously people have gone on and had successful careers. So we've utilized these same scripts while building a team. And a lot of people, when we put out there the concept of Relead, this lead agent training program, I had team leaders reach out and say, is this for me or is this for my lead agents? We had broker owners reach out and say, is this for me or is this my lead agents? And we called it lead agent because that's really the role I'm in right now, the main role that I'm in right now. But really, this is the same process as building a large brokerage or building a market center or building an office. Can you add anything to that, Matt, in your experience? Because I know you've coached both team leaders, you know, and for those that weren't on with us last week, I mean, Matt was technically my boss for some time, so he's coached me on some of this stuff. So how do those two relate before we get into the material today?
Yeah, well, they're exactly the same at the end of the day. Whether we're building a large brokerage or we're building a large team, the process of recruiting is exactly the same. And ultimately, it's about identifying talent in the marketplace that we want to be in business with. It's being able to attract them by showing them some initial value, either over the phone or maybe in that first handshake when we get to know them. And then it's being able to bring them into the office, identify their needs, identify their struggles. In other words, identify the symptoms of their business that are problematic, and then ultimately being able to make a diagnosis and deliver value through our value proposition. It is exactly the same.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. Before we get into today's content, each and every week we give something away. You know, people are loving our Live Unreal swag. And so we decided anytime someone uses the hashtag Live Unreal, the hashtag Relead, or the hashtag GloverU, we go scour the internet, we scour Instagram, we scour Facebook, and look for somebody using those hashtags, and we reward them with some Live Unreal swag. So who used hashtag GloverU or hashtag Relead this week? I know there was a lot of you that did. We pick one each and every week to give some swag away. Let's show this week's winner. All right, Duke Gray, congratulations. You're getting the Nike. Oh, that's a good one. Just in time for our spring wet golf season. There you go. Thank you for that, Duke. Thanks for spreading the word about GloverU and Relead. And you're going home with the Nike pullover. That thing's cool. I wear that all the time when I'm golfing. It's great for the golf course. Again, as you can see in his post there, hashtag GloveRU, hashtag Relead. We scour the internet. We find one. It can be from this week. It can be from last week, whatever. And you get to go home with some gear. So Duke will reach out to you, and we will get that gear. All right, let's jump into the material. So today we promised that I would go over the actual recruiting scripts. And given the amount of time that we have, we're going to try to get as much as we can of this in. And hopefully we get through the whole scripts. By now, you should have received a workbook. If you have received a workbook, I want you to pull that up, either kind of minimize this or move this to the side or pull yours up. Or if you haven't had a chance to print it off yet, I'm going to have it up on my screen here in a second. Now, the reason why I want you to print it off is because I'm going to be giving you, and I know Matt's going to have some additional scripts as well. So as we go through these, we're going to say, here's how you could ask this question, or here's another way to ask that question. I know given Matt's experience and my experience in recruiting hundreds, probably thousands of agents through the years now, we've got some additional things that we can add. So these are the exact scripts I used back in the day. We have been updating them through the years, given the changes that have taken place in the market and the way business operates, but these are it. Like, so if you're wondering, well, yeah, but I've heard about these scripts. I've heard about those scripts. No. These are the ones I use. Now, we've modified them through the years, and I'll point that out, but this is how you grow a big business. So if you have a printer, get printing, because I want you to write notes in the margins. I want you to write notes on the scripts. If you don't have the scripts, don't worry. I'm going to pull them up on my screen, but I want you taking notes somewhere, because I know Matt is going to have a lot to say when we go through these, and I'll have some things to add as well. So give me just a second while I share my screen. Okay. All right. So just so we're operating from the same book, everyone should have received this, a link to this, a PDF of this. If you don't have it, check your spam. Sometimes when we send things out in a PDF, it gets caught in the spam. This is the book that we're going to work from today. If you have a printer, please print it out. That's the highest and best use of this document. If you don't have it in front of you, you can, of course, watch my screen, but take notes somewhere, please. All right. So let's scroll down to the first page here, Matt. I put in there things to keep in mind for productive agents. I think this is important. Now, we already covered this in the last couple sessions. This is really kind of more of an overview. These aren't the actual scripts. We'll get to the scripts in a second. But these are the things that you need to consider when you're recruiting experienced agents. Now, you've heard experienced agents. I call them productive agents, because you could have an agent that's been in the business for 12 months that's super experienced or super productive. Are they experienced? Are they not experienced? I don't know, but we consider experienced of the old, productive of the new. So Matt, when you look at some of these considerations, do you have anything to add to this list, or anything that you want to expand on when you look at this?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It can always be summarized, and it's about them. And I love the first part, which is always about us asking questions. And as a recruiter, Jeff, I know you and I are both of the mindset that when we find ourselves telling and selling, we know that the likelihood that we're going to get that person dwindles dramatically. At the end of the day, our goal is to attract them to the value proposition that we legitimately believe is going to take their business to the next level. And if we're not asking enough questions, if we're not making it about them, we're never going to be able to dissect exactly what that issue is that we can solve. Yep,
that's right. And if I can add to that, make sure kind of towards the bottom there, have your value proposition well defined, which we talked about in previous Relead sessions. So hopefully you've been joining us each and every week and you've been able to jump in on this material. But I need to not only know what my value is, but most importantly, how will they use it? How are they going to take advantage of my value proposition? If I can't clearly articulate that, if I can't give them examples of people that have had success with my value proposition. So here's the deal. Here's a lesson. We talked about the last couple of weeks, but I want to just refresh your memory here. Identify what your value proposition is. Think of who is using it, the success they're having, and be ready to share those success stories. That's actually part of the recruiting process, as you'll see when we get into this. Most of you guys are all in the GloveRU Inner Circle Facebook group, so hopefully you're in there and taking advantage of what we put out there. All right, so let's take a look at this first script, Matt. So this is what I call the productive agent recruiting script. This is the exact script that I used in the past, back when I was a team leader, and that I've also used when growing JGA, our real estate team. Now, if you notice there, even in the first sentence, right, I've already kind of made some changes to some scripts you may have seen in the past. Now, let me stop for a second. When you think of scripts, right, you think of listing scripts, you think of buyer scripts, you think of seller scripts, you think of maybe recruiting scripts, you think of coaching scripts. A script had to start somewhere. Most of the scripts that we operate from today are a culmination of years and decades of trainers and managers and recruiters, right? You know, you guys have heard me say before, I was fortunate enough to start with those like Floyd Wickman and Mike Ferry. And by the way, even the Floyd Wickman and Mike Ferry scripts, those weren't their scripts. Those were culminations of the scripts that they learned through the years, right? So when you think about this and you say, this sounds similar to one I've seen in the past, or wait a minute, I've never seen this before, right? This is a culmination of just years and years and decades of scripts coming together. First thing you'll see there in the first sentence, Matt, is, hi, my name is blank. I'm the insert a title that benefits them. All right. That's so important. All right. I don't want to be called by the assistant. I don't want to be called by the recruiter. Why would you ever refer to yourself as the company recruiter or the director of growth? Why am I director of growth? So you're just telling me you're calling to recruit me. One thing you'll notice about this script is it's a lot of, and you'll see this even in the recruiting presentation, which we'll get to in just a bit. It's a lot of, hey, I'm here to help you grow your business, whether you join our company or not. So Matt, I know you've had a lot of experience with that concept. Do you have anything to add to that whole idea of, I'm here to help you grow your business, whether you join us or not?
Well, I think it's important to understand that most people, when we call them, they're not actually looking to make a change. They probably don't even know that they actually need to make a change or what changes they can make. And so we have to come from the understanding the only way we're going to get them to meet with us is if we can create and pique some interest and some curiosity on their part, that what we have to say would be valuable. So you're dead on. If I say, hey, I'm the chief growth officer or the head recruiter, we're not making it about them. We're making it about us.
Exactly. And that's why I never understood when people would call and say things like that. No, hi, my name is Jeff Glover, and I'm actually the company trainer over at ABC Realty. My name is Jeff Glover, and I'm actually the director of technology implementer, whatever, come up with something that is going to benefit them, right? Even the title of broker owner, even owner or investor or operating partner, even that doesn't do me any good as an agent. I want to talk to someone that's going to benefit me. All right, so I wanted to ask you, you've heard of our insert number one value proposition. Now, every single person that's on this is with, we have some people with Remax, we have people with Century 21, we have people with Keller Williams, we have people with Independence. Everyone has some form of a value proposition. I want you to identify what your number one is right now. And here's the deal. Your number one has to have proven success stories. All right. Proven agents that have taken that and had success with it. I need actual proof. I need closings. I need units. I need GCI. I need commissions earned. All right. Now, back in the day, and when we were starting JGA and growing to the number one team in the state of Michigan, we were using our coaching as our model. And for some of you, that may still be your number one value prop. So I would say, hi, this is Jeff Glover, and I wanted to ask you if you've heard about our business strategy coaching program. Oh, no, I have not. Well, are you familiar with, and I'll use the actual name of the agent I use, so maybe she's on, great agent, Kathy Elias. Are you familiar with Kathy Elias in our office? Yeah, I think I've heard of Kathy. Well, Kathy made an additional $67,000 last year from business strategy coaching alone. Now, my question is, would you be interested in learning how she did that without having to switch companies? And by the way, stepping out of the role play, that's the key. Without having to switch companies. That's what's going to get them to be open to what you have to say. And of course, for those of you that do recruiting pretty regularly, and those of you that are on the phones every day, which remember, we covered the schedule last week. How many hours a day was I on the phone? 2. Not a day went by that I wasn't on the phone for 2 hours, nonstop, calling through broker lists and calling through websites in just 2 hours. Don't let me out of this office until I prospect for 2 hours. This is the exact script I used during that phase. Nah, I'm happy where I'm at, or I'm not interested in making a move. This was always my favorite one, Matt, and I know you've probably used this one too. I can appreciate that, and I'm assuming that you were happy. Otherwise, you would have probably already called me, right? With kind of a little chuckle, with a smile. Now, notice, we're halfway through the script, and I'm stepping in and out of the role play, but I want you to pay close attention to body language, to tonality, to energy, to upswings, downswings. That's very important when you're using any type of script, just like we educate our salespeople on. So now I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not interested in making a move. Well, I can appreciate that. I was assuming that you were happy. Otherwise, you would have already called me, right? Now, let me ask you, if there was a way to add 13 transactions to your business this year. Now, the reason why there's an X in there, if you're talking to an agent doing 100 deals a year, 30 might not move the needle, right? But at the same time, if I'm talking to an agent on the phone, Matt, and I'll just say you're the agent, so I'll start throwing you into the role play here. If I'm talking to an agent on the phone that did 12 deals last year, and you tell me that I can add 13 to it, essentially double my business, I don't know if I believe you. I don't know if that's realistic, right? If you're doing 100 and I'm talking about adding 7 deals, yeah, that's not going to do it for me. I got to find an agent. So here's the thing, going back to your value proposition. You have to find specific agents in your current world that are at different levels of production. You need a rookie of the year. You need an up-and-comer. You need a part-timer who's succeeding. You need a big team. You got to find these agents and what part of the value proposition they use. That part is so important for all of this to work. Would you agree with that, Matt?
I definitely would. And one of the best practices that I found is that I typically would segment my recruiting calls based on production level. So on Mondays, I may be calling people that are from 3 to 5 million in production. On Tuesdays, I may be calling people from 1 to 3. And the reason I do that is so I can use the exact same script on each of those calls because everybody's basically at the same production level. And I just memorize for the day, who do I need as that social validation of what is working.
Yep. So I know I sound like a broken record, but you have to identify, and you'll see later in the script when we get into the actual recruiting presentation, you have to identify 5 pieces of value, right? You probably have 20, you have 30. On one of the sessions, we talked about putting together your value proposition and putting it into a nice booklet. You probably have 30 to 50 value propositions. Half of them you forgot you even had. Go back and find 5 that your agents are having success with because you're going to need them in order for this script to be effective. So let me ask you, Matt, if there was a way to add 15 transactions to your business this year without working harder or doing anything painful, and you don't have to move, would you be interested in hearing about it?
Well, I mean, yeah. Let's go just so we can get through this. Let's say yes. Yes, I'm interested.
Yeah, great. Well, then, of course, from there, I'm going to close, right? I'm going to go, what are you doing today at 3 o'clock? Which, if you remember, last week's session, all my recruiting appointments are at 3 or 3:30. Sometimes I did some at 2:30, but somewhere in that 2:30 to 3:30 zone. Now, let me ask you that same question and tell me no. So, Matt, let me ask you, if there's a way to add 15 transactions to your business this year without working harder, you don't have to do anything painful, and again, you don't have to switch brokerages. Would you at least be interested in hearing about it?
I mean, Jeff, it sounds neat, but I'm slammed. Can you just email it to me?
You see, I appreciate that. And I imagine you're busy. Everyone's busy right now, given it's the springtime. You see, Matt, I specialize in helping agents take their business to the next level. And I would like to share with you the ideas and strategies that I'm sharing with my agents that's helping them make more money. And in order to do that, Matt, all I need to do is better understand your current business structure. So unfortunately, it's not just something I can email, if that makes sense. Now, here's the good news, Matt. Worst case, you'll leave our meeting with some great ideas you'll be able to apply to your business right away. And if you're wondering, why are you willing to do this, Jeff? Well, the reason why I'm willing to do this is because if you decide to make a move, hopefully you would at least consider us an option or maybe even recommend us to others. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Great. So you got 30 minutes to spare later today or maybe tomorrow at 3?
Okay, let's do tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Perfect. And I'm closing to try to get you into the office or at least meet you for coffee. So, Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. Any immediate observations in this script or anything that stood out to you when I went through that?
Well, I think it's important to understand. It's just like when we're making not prospecting calls, lead generation calls, withdrawals, expires, and FISBOs. We should expect that the natural answer is going to be, no, I'm not interested. Just assume that's going to happen. Keep flowing through the script. Don't let it get you off the script. We're not actually looking to get the appointment in most cases in the first part. It's actually going through those objections and then doing exactly what you did towards the end of it that's going to get us to the close.
Yeah, and ultimately the whole premise on this script is I want to sit down with you, understand your business better, and give you some ideas that you can implement right away. There's nothing about switching companies. There's nothing about, well, are you happy where you're at or not, or how long have you been there? I'm not getting into any of that. It's all about you and what I can do to help you. All right, let's continue on. So agent referral, co-op agent calls. Now we're not going to have enough time to get through every one of these because I do want to get down to the actual presentation itself. But the agent referral script co-op calls, these are very common. You know, an agent, the co-op call is so-and-so, you're doing a deal with someone. Why are those calls important, Matt? The calling if I'm doing a deal with someone at another brokerage, or one of my agents is doing a deal with another brokerage?
Well, those calls are important for a couple of reasons. One, we're showing that as the leader, we're protecting the people that we're working with. We're invested in their success. And so by calling the co-op agent, we're validating that to them.
Yeah, and you got a reason to call them, right? I hear all the time from leaders in the industry, well, I don't have a good value proposition, so what else do I do? Well, here you go. You got a reason to call them, right? Same thing goes for the agent referral call. You know, so-and-so spoke very highly of you and thought you'd be a great asset to our team. And for the most part, you just go right back into the script. So this script here is not much different than the script above, other than, hey, I wanted to call and congratulate you on the sale, or so-and-so referred me. So again, you guys have a copy of all this. I'm going to touch base on the ones that I think are most important. The next script here, newer agent prospecting scripts, day 1 through month 18. All right. Now, this is for the group of agents that are 18 in the business, 18 months or less. So it's still new to them, right? You'll see there, I wanted to call and congratulate you on deciding to build a career in real estate. And Matt, I was curious, are you familiar with our business strategy coaching program? Again, stepping out of the role play for a second, insert whatever your value prop is there. For us, it was coaching. All right. Are you familiar with our business strategy coaching program? Answer is no, usually. Yep. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Yep, no. Okay. Well, I've only been in the business for 3 months, so no, I don't know of anything about it.
Yeah, and that's okay, Matt. Most people don't. And you know, the agents that are completing the program right now are having incredible success, especially early on in their career. Very important that you put that in there and emphasize, especially early on in their career, because most agents in their first 18 months, as you know, are struggling. So are you familiar with Frank Felt in our office? And of course, you're going to want to pick an up-and-comer or a rookie agent. Are you familiar with Frank Felt in our office, Matt?
No, don't know him.
Yeah, and that's okay. By the way, whether they say yes or no, it doesn't matter. You still continue on the script. Well, Frank actually listed 18 homes in his first 300 days with us. And of those 18 listings, he's already sold 10 of them. And he's been with us for less than a year, Matt. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Now, if you don't mind me asking, how is real estate starting out for you?
It's going slower than I wanted. That's for sure. I'm hoping to pick up steam here soon.
Yeah, and that's okay. You know, I talk to two types of agents when they're less than 18 months or so in the business. It's either they're gangbusters busy and they've taken off fast, or they're sitting around kind of wondering, when is it going to get good? When is this actually going to click, right? Now, if you don't mind me asking, Matt, how did you happen to choose the company that you're working with?
Lost sound here for a second. I think you were asking how did I choose the company I was with. Well, one of my best friends got into real estate a couple of years ago, and that's the company he joined, and so I hopped on.
Yeah. Well, that seems to make sense. And if you don't mind me asking, are you working full time or part time?
I'm full time. I got to make this work.
All right, full time. Well, good for you. I like helping agents like yourself make it work. That's for sure. Now, Matt, if I could show you a proven system and model that could significantly increase your business and income by working smarter, not harder, and you don't even have to switch brokerages, would you be interested in hearing about it?
Well, I mean, I'm happy where I'm at, and I just kind of want to follow what we're doing here.
Yeah. No, and I can totally understand you're happy where you're at. Otherwise, you probably would have already left your company, right? And don't you
Yeah.
think at a minimum, it would maybe be a good idea for us to meet, since I'm sure you'll end up having a transaction or two with one of our agents. That way, Matt, if there's ever an issue in the future, I'll be able to put a face to the name and help you through it. Fair enough?
Okay. Yes.
Great. And by the way, that's effective because they don't want to piss off a broker in town. They don't want to be on a broker's bad side. So what I'm doing there by saying, hey, I think it's going to be a good idea, since you're going to probably do deals with our agents anyways, at least put a face to the name in case there's ever a deal, so we have a better chance of working through it, right?
Yeah. Dead on.
And notice the assumptive language that I'm using a lot here. So that is your newer agent prospecting scripts, day 1 to month 18. Let's continue going. Brand new or not yet licensed phone script. Now, this is a pretty easy one, so we don't need to necessarily role play this because I want to get into the actual presentation. This is a simple, notice that you've applied. Here's some questions. Here's some Q&A before you make your final decision. It's important that we get together and discuss how our proving system can ensure your success, right? That's a pretty basic one. We don't need to talk about that too much. Career seminar follow-up, again, pretty self-explanatory. You can follow up, this is after an agent attends a career seminar. Questions that you ask them after the career seminar. Again, you should all have a copy of these. If not, email us at info@gloveru.com. We'll make sure you get a copy for yourself. All right, closing for an appointment. I got 3 real good closes here, Matt. I call it the no-brainer close. Matt, if I could show you proven systems and models that would significantly increase your business and your income, in addition to giving you more time and freedom, would you be interested in hearing about it, even if it meant you don't have to switch brokerages?
Yes.
Kind of a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
The value proposition close, which you might have already heard this already. Are you familiar with our blank proposition, our technology, our coaching, our marketing, our operations? Insert value prop there. Agent name. Again, it's so important that you have an agent taking advantage of it. In our office, made an additional $37,000 last year from this one value proposition alone. Matt, when can we get together for 20 to 30 minutes so I can go over this with you? Maybe 3 o'clock today or 3:30? Right?
Okay, so let's do 3:30. Yep.
Yeah, and then the more balanced close. I'm calling a select few top reputable agents such as yourself who are interested in adding more balance for their family and friends and just overall having a better quality of life. By the way, if you're wondering, if you're out there and saying, man, I don't really do a good job recruiting top producers, I really am scared of top producers, or I just don't have a lot of success recruiting top producers, I will tell you the number one thing top producers are after. Well, there's really 2 things that they're after. Okay, they're after either A, having more efficiencies in their business because they've already got models, they've already got systems, they're already making money. They want to be more efficient with what they have, A, or B, more commonly, they just want more time back. So if you approach a top producer with the more balanced approach and more time for other things, you're going to have a better luck with top producers. So, and I say on here, if no on any of these, don't be afraid to ask, who do you know that would benefit from this type of conversation? If you're getting a no, or you're getting someone that isn't responding very favorably to you, you've got them on the phone, you might as well close for another opportunity to talk to someone else. I can't tell you how many times, Matt, and I'm sure you've had this too, where I've had so-and-so say to me, Jeff, I know who you are. I appreciate you following up, and it really means a lot that you're calling me. But honestly, this program isn't for me, or your company isn't for me. But I have to tell you, I tell everyone I come in contact with that they need to meet you. They need to talk to you. They need to work for you. All right, that you'll have them say that to you. So then I'll follow up with, well, who most recently said that? Have you said that to? And I'll do the follow up for you. Right? And you can there's agents, and Matt, I know you have experience with this. There's agents in our market right now who are not with one of our companies, but yet they refer people to us. Have you experienced that, Matt?
Yeah, all the time. And so you're definitely going to get that. But let's say you don't have the notoriety yet of a JGA. The truth is, by asking that question, by saying, well, Jeff, hey, I specialize in helping agents double their business. And while I understand you're saying this isn't for you, I can completely appreciate that. Who do you know that is interested in doubling their business?
Yeah.
When I ask that question, even if they don't know who I am, and so they're not necessarily going to give me that referral, it's planting a seed of doubt that, oh, maybe they just made a mistake by turning it down. Because I'm showing in my positioning that, listen, I'm detached from you not wanting to be part of it, but I am attached to finding the right person that is interested in it.
Yep, love that. Nope, great point. Thank you. New office, new area script. This is one that most companies probably don't have to use often, but this is if you're expanding into a new market. This is if you're expanding into a new area. It's almost very kind of survey-like, but what ends up happening is you start developing relationships with top agents in the market, and here's what this script does. This script builds credibility. This script builds a relationship because they're thinking, wow, this person's considering coming into our market and they're reaching out to me to ask me these things. Wow, good for them. That's really cool, right? You're building credibility. And again, this isn't the most common one, but if you're on this session and you're considering opening an office or starting a team or expanding into a new market, this is the script you use for that. Next script, new agent interview script. We don't have to role play this one because this is really just like an interview. Like if you were meeting with an employee, right? Based on our conversation over the phone. All right. And then here we go. This is an in-person interview script, new agent. Now I do want to point out, if you like them in interview one, brand new agent, fresh, wet behind the ears, they've got their pocket card ready to be signed by someone. All right. If they're in my experience, if they're solid, you want them, and they're a high D or a high I, you're going to close for their signature. You're going to close for them to start. If they're a high D or a high I, all right. D's make decision quickly, so do high I's. Perfect. Let me grab so-and-so. We'll get the process started. All right. If they're an S or a C, I'm going to encourage you to two-step this one, which you'll see what we do with experienced agents in a second. I'm going to recommend that you two-step this appointment because if they're a high S or a high C, they're going to value a process. They're going to value that it's taking time. They're going to value that you're not making a decision right then and there on the spot. So I'm actually going to two-step that, and they're going to appreciate that you're not offering to sign them on the spot, especially when everyone else they meet with is saying, come join us, right? And if they're a maybe, okay, so then we do these meetings in a few steps. And we'll be in touch later to set up a next meeting. I've always done, if it's someone that's just kind of, I don't know if I really want this person or not, I make it hard for them to join us. I'll say, why don't we set something up for next week? And, let's say today is Wednesday. I'll set it up for next week, Wednesday or Thursday. I don't mind spacing them out a week to see if they have the patience to stick with me, to see if they have the commitment to join. This is only if it's a maybe, all right? You don't want to stall. Even if you go to appointment number 2 on an S or a C, I want appointment number 2 to be within a couple days. I want it to be within, if today's Wednesday, I want it to be Friday. I want it to be Monday. But if it's just kind of a maybe, appointment number 2 is a week out, maybe 10 days out. I want to see how bad they want it, right? And then, of course, if they're a no, thank you for taking the time to meet with me. We're going to review the notes from our meeting together, and we'll be in touch with the next steps. Matt, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's dead on.
Cool. All right, let's get into the experienced agent interview script. This is a big one, and now you see that long list down there, 1 through 22. I'm not going to go through and role play all of those. You guys know how to ask questions and listen for their answer. But I do want to talk about the concept of this script. And I know, Matt, and this isn't a sales pitch for your program, but I know in your business mastery, you go deep into recruiting. And I know that understanding the recruiting scripts is a big part of what you do in your program. But regardless, I want to talk about the concept behind this script. But we can't, when we have them in front of us, we can't all of a sudden shift from, hey, I got you here by saying I want to help you, regardless of whether you join me or not. And now that you're here, now that you're sitting in front of me, I want to talk all about our company and why you should be with us. That is a huge no-no. And that's probably the number one mistake that leaders in our industry today make. They get someone in front of them, a live one, and they just start spewing everything they know and everything they've experienced and everything about their company. Remember, you got them there on the premise. You got them to show up for the coffee. You got them to come sit in your lobby based on you're going to help them. You cannot make this first meeting about you. All right. So, Matt, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to come in. I know you're busy. And my goal, Matt, by the end of our meeting today is to find out exactly how I can help you grow your business or grow your business and get more time back in your life, whether you're with our company or not. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, great.
Good, good. So the first step to figuring out a plan for you and offering some ideas is I first need to learn a little bit about your business. Now, after I learn about your business, Matt, I'm going to collect my thoughts and I'm going to share those strategies with you during our second meeting, okay?
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, Matt, let's stop for a second. What did I do right there in those couple of sentences?
Well, the first thing is you made it very clear that you're not here just to aggressively recruit me. You're not gonna tell and sell. You're not gonna just spew your value proposition out. And Jeff, as a sub point of that, we have to recognize that at this point, you don't even know where my pain points are.
Yes.
So if you would have immediately started selling me, well, what if you're selling me on something that I don't even actually find value in? It doesn't do anything.
Oh my God, if I'm an experienced productive agent, I'm so turned off if you start to do that. Right? Yeah. Number one, I've made it clear that this is about Matt. And number two, I've also made it clear that we're going to have another meeting. Did you catch that at the end there, Matt?
Yep. Big time. Yep. Big time.
So now, granted, during our first phone call, I did not talk about meeting number two, but that's okay. You don't need to. I'm telling you up front, we're going to have a second meeting. So now, Matt, just so you know, everything we discuss will be kept confidential. And I can promise you, the more you share with me, the stronger the plan I can put together for you. Sound good?
Yes.
And one last thing, if it's okay with you, Matt, I'm going to take some notes during this. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Great. Now, if you couldn't tell, that I have recited that opening paragraph hundreds, if not thousands of times, right? Like that is, I could verbatim, I don't even need that in front of me, and I can just verbatim, because that is how every single one of my productive/experienced agent interviews start. Period. Word for word. And then I go into the questions. Now, we're not going to have time to get through all of them. You see them there. You guys are adults. You ask a question. You listen to their answer. Maybe you go 2 or 3 deep, right? Those are your questions. Now, after I go through all my questions, my closes, Matt, I've really enjoyed. Now, this is about a 30 to 45-minute meeting, by the way. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to get to know you today and find out what's important to you and your business. I've taken extensive notes, and I would like to review my notes and formulate some strategies for you. I've got some great ideas that I'd like to share with you that will impact your business immediately. So why don't we get together, say, tomorrow around the same time, or Thursday, 3:30? That'll give me enough time to collect my thoughts and give you a written plan. Fair enough?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, sometimes what will happen is the recruit will say, well, can't you just share them with me now? All right? Because they've spent some time, they're in the office, can't you just share them with me now? Do not share your ideas right then and there. It is not effective if you don't two-step it. They have to believe that you put a lot of time and a lot of energy into this, all right? So if you see there, if they push you, do not get into it. Matt, hey, so go ahead and tell me, well, can't you just tell me now?
Can't you just tell me now?
Yeah, no, I'd love to do that, Matt. And if it's okay with you, I'd actually like to consult with a few of my top producers, do a little bit more research on a couple things that I have in mind for you, and I'm going to put together a formalized plan for you. I can have it done in 24 hours. Could you be back here in 24 hours? Great, right? And
perfect.
then,
yes.
Go on from there. Okay, so now,
Jeff, before we go on, a couple key points here. First off, with that, we can also throw in language like, so I can deliver you the most value, I'd like to have some time to blah 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 blah. Yep. Next thing, and we go deep in this in the business and leadership mastery course around the nuance behind how we ask the questions and the follow-up questions. But understand what we're doing, if we've done this effectively, is we've created a lot of pain for them in those questions, because they're starting to see, oh my gosh, my business has gaps everywhere. I am failing. And so when we actually push them to the second step, they go home at night and they can't sleep because they're like, what am I going to do? Everything's broken. And so when they show up for that second meeting, they are so ready to go.
Yeah, just looking at question 12 and 13. What are you on track to make? Where do you want to be? How far along are you? These are things that you have to assume when I'm going through these questions. You have to assume most brokers are not going through this with them.
Yep.
All right, so now I've got them back in my chair. Hey, thanks, Matt. It was great spending some time with you yesterday. I've had some chance to collect my thoughts, and I've put together what I think is going to be a really solid plan in helping you get to the next level, whether you're with our company or not. Fair enough?
Yeah, great.
Good. Now, if it's okay with you, Matt, I'd like to give you, I actually have a yellow pad for you. I know you brought your laptop. If you want to take notes in your laptop or in your iPad, you can. I also have a yellow pad. Now, I'm going to jump out of the role play for a second. It's important that you give them something to follow along with. This is actually part of the recruiting process. If you're just talking back and forth, it doesn't work. It's not as effective, and you'll see why in a second. All right, so Matt, I actually have a yellow pad for you. I'm a little old-fashioned. I'm a little traditional. You know, I know I'm only 35 years old, but I've been doing this 17 years. So just bear with me when I hand you this yellow pad, okay? And that way you can take some notes, and I might ask you to write a few things down. Cool?
Cool.
All right, now, so stepping out of the role play for a second, I'll just cover the formula. Here's the formula. So step one is present a company benefit. Should be something they can do, buy, or figure out on their own. You know, I know we have a lot of folks on from Keller Williams, all right? So you can't use command as a company benefit. What you can use is a CRM, right? You can talk a CRM, and then you can talk about how expensive a CRM is and how you can save them money. But don't use an actual benefit that they can only get at your firm. It's very important. Find something that's general, right? So for instance, you know, find a coaching and training company, find a CRM, find something that they could get on their own, but it would cost them money, time, energy, whatever. All right. Number two, provide evidence. I need an agent testimonial that matches that company benefit. I said that a few times already. That's super important that you have that ready to go. Number three, you're going to ask them if they see value in it. Number four, you're going to ask the recruit how they would use this as a benefit in their business. And then number five, you're going to quantify how many additional transactions in the next 12 months. All right, so let me show you. We're going to hop into a role play here, Matt, and we're going to show everyone watching today how this works out. So Matt, I put together my thoughts, and I've got 5 things that I want to share with you of what you can do to implement in your business and hopefully add some income to your bottom line, whether you join our firm or not. Okay?
Okay.
Great. So my first idea for you, if you want to follow along, just go ahead and write this down. Just write down number 1. Right? I'm having the recruit actually write this down or type this in. Go ahead and write down number 1. The Glover U coaching program. A little shameless plug there. Sorry, guys. You had to expect I was going to do that at some point. But by the way, this really is a value prop. You know, when I was with Coldwell Banker, it was Mike Ferry, right? That was unique. We had this great relationship with the Mike Ferry organization. So that was unique to us, right? For those of you that are on here, maybe our coaching clients are watching, you have a unique value proposition to share with your agents. And I know many of you do. So we're going to use, man, I want you to write down Glover U coaching program, as value number 1. Now, in the Glover U coaching program, which you could get this on your own, Matt, it's only $1,000 a month, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but you know, you get one-on-one this, you get accountability calls, you know, you get a numbers tracker, you get an annual business plan, you get this, right? I'm actually explaining the benefits of it. Okay. Now, Matt, with our exclusive agreement with Glover U, it gives you the competitive edge. Again, you can get this on your own, but our agents on average do 10 more deals a year per associate than our competition since we've started with Glover U. 10 more deals a year will give you, based on the numbers you told me yesterday, will put an extra $50,000 this year in your pocket alone. Now, let me ask you, Matt, are you familiar with Kathy Elias?
Yeah, I've heard that name.
Yeah. See, Kathy Elias joined us just 18 months ago, and she's been using this program nonstop. She's been in the videos. She's been tuning into all the calls. She uses her daily business planner. She is having a ton of success with this program. Now, let me ask you, do you see value in a program like this, whether it costs you $12,000 a year or not, even if you have to stay where you're at? Do you see how that could add value?
If I'm going to sell 10 extra homes, heck yeah.
That's right. And so then how do you think you would advance as a better listing agent because of this type of program? Now, let me stop out of the role play for a second. I went through this really quickly. I would probably spend 5 to 7 minutes selling Matt on why this program, this technology, this marketing, this system, this support, this operations team is the best thing since sliced bread. So at this point in time, he would be able to answer number 4 pretty easily because he's got a lot more details. For the sake of this role play, I didn't go into all the details, so it might be harder for Matt to answer it. But for the sake of the role play, just say, just come up with something positive. So Matt, how do you think you'd advance as a better listing agent because of this type of program?
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of skills-based training around scripting and what to say, and that's kind of where I feel like I'm deficient. So that's what I think I could learn.
Yeah, and if you did 40 deals last year with limited skills, you could probably easily add, and I'm answering my own question here, number 5. So conservatively, Matt, this is important. So I almost made a huge boo-boo. Do not give them this number. They have to come up for it. All right. So rewind. I did not intend to give you the number. You're going to come up with it. So conservatively, Matt, how many more listings with those new skills, with this new program, with this new marketing, with this new whatever, how many more listings do you think you'd take in the next 12 months if you had that level of accountability?
Gosh, I would think I could get at least another 15 to 16 listings.
15, 16 listings. Let's say conservatively that number is 15. Of those 15, how many do you think would sell?
I mean, let's say conservatively at least 10.
Yeah, and I'd rather be conservative here. So let's be even on the more conservative side and go ahead and write down the number 8. All right, go ahead and write down the number 8 right next to number 1, Glover U Coaching and Training Program. Got it? Good. Now here's number 2. Matt, you mentioned that you were considering hiring an assistant. Now, were you aware that our company, we provide an administrative and marketing assistance to our associates? Were you aware of that?
No, you do?
Oh, yeah, we certainly do. Now, here's the deal. You can go out and get an assistant on your own, and I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'm going to give you some ideas and ways you can do that. Again, stepping out of the role play. Remember, it's all about doing this on your own. The point is, when I get through 5 of these, you're like, this is overwhelming. I don't want to do this on my own, or this is going to cost me a lot of money. Well, are you familiar with Frank in our office, Matt?
Yeah, I've been with Frank before.
Yeah, Frank came over from Century 21, Coldwell Banker Remax. I'm not picking on Century 21. That's just what I had in there. He really did come from Century 21, by the way. He went from 18 deals to over 30 in just 1 year because he didn't have to deal with paperwork anymore. Could you see how having somebody on staff to help you with that stuff would be a benefit to you?
Yeah, I'm buried in paperwork.
Yeah. So how do you see that? If you were to add an assistant today, how do you see that benefiting you?
Gosh, I know just with paperwork alone, I could do another 12 deals. Absolutely. If I didn't have to do all that. I think we lost Jeff, so I'll just kind of continue it forward until he comes back on that. So what we're doing is, and what Jeff said, it's really important that we get them to verbalize how many extra transactions they would make from each of the value propositions. Because if we say, don't you think you can sell 10 more homes? They're not actually buying into that. I would rather them say, yeah, I think I'm going to sell an extra 6 homes because of that, than for me to just program that they're going to actually sell 10 from that. So the idea that Jeff is getting us to is we're going to take them step by step, one value at a time, to where they're in their mind, they're adding up the number of additional transactions that they're going to be able to grow into the year. And at some point, the numbers become insurmountable. In fact, you can see on, unfortunately, I don't have, yeah, it is on the screen. If you look at number 5, one of the things that we can do is if we can get them to articulate the number of transactions that they're going to add, we can then tie it into money saved. So I say something like, Jeff, okay, you said that by hiring an assistant, you could sell an additional 10 homes. Now, what's your average commission? And let's say they say $6,000. You say, so Jeff, are you aware that by utilizing or by tying into an executive assistant, that you'll be able to make an additional $60,000? What would that do for you? And we're going to go through this. We're going to progress between the 3 to 5 different value pieces that we've given. All right, we've lost Jeff, and so we're just going to keep powering on. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Hey, that's the life we're in right now. So we're going to keep going forward. Now, I will tell you this: we're not going to be able to make you a recruiting expert in 30 to 45 minutes. What we wanted to be able to do is at least give you the skeleton, and then understand that just like anything that we're working towards mastery on is all about practicing over time and then being able to fill in the gaps. Now, we do have a really special session coming up here in the next few weeks, which is called our Glover U Business Mastery class. And we're going to spend some time next week talking about that a little bit, but I want to give you a preview of the content we're going to be bringing to you next week, something I'm super excited about. For those of you guys that haven't met me before, my big passion is helping agents learn how to run a highly profitable business and grow their leadership skills. You know, one of the banes of my existence in our industry is that we fall into this trap where we're over-relying on sales skills. And so we want to start bringing out some content that is going to help agents grow how they think about their business as a business and how they think about leadership as a leader. So we're going to give you a preview for what we're going to be talking about next week, which is 4 catastrophic financial mistakes that growing agents make. Now, the purpose behind this class is to teach agents how to become better business people. Yet if you're a leader on this call, if you're running a brokerage or you're a team leader of a brokerage, it becomes really important that you understand these concepts, because especially when you're working with highly experienced agents, you're going to have to know how to attract, coach, and then consult these agents. And I think I see Jeff back on the call. I think we could all agree at the end of the day, if we're able to deliver value that allows agents to actually make more money, the chance of them leaving us goes down dramatically. So here's what we're going to talk about in this session. There's 4 key topics. And the first one, something that's all the rage, it's a total buzzword, and it's side hustles. It's side hustles. And now I'm all in for multiple streams of income and building out different business lines. Certainly I have that today. Yet, here's the truth. We know that when you look at people that build actual wealth from multiple streams of income, they approach side hustles very differently than how the average person actually thinks is the right way to do it. So next week, we're going to go into exactly how do you do it the right way, in a way that creates multiple layers over time in building your empire. Second, one of the biggest mistakes that we see growing agents make is making the wrong first 2 hires in their business. And on average, and Jeff, I see you're back on average, Jeff, we're seeing agents lose between $30,000 to $70,000 in profit per year, and it's completely sabotaging the long-term viability of their business. And so we're going to talk about how do you make those first 2 hires, and exactly who are you hiring, and then the why around those first 2 sequential hires, and why getting the order is so incredibly important. Third, we talk about one of the most commonly mistaken areas of business, which is misunderstanding how return on investment, or ROI, actually works. You know, most people look at ROI as how much money they make off a dollar they invest. And in fact, that is actually the foundation. Yet, there are a couple critical nuances that most agents aren't aware that's actually causing them to miscalculate their ROI. And I found that quite frankly, is in my studying across agents across the country, is that most agents are making way less ROI than they actually think. And we're going to show you how to fix that. And then lastly, Jeff, we're going to finish up with one of the biggest destroyers of profits on teams, and that's agent splits. So we're going to take a deep dive into the numbers, and we're going to show the implications of either hiring agents too early or focusing on the wrong things in your value proposition, and why it's so financially destructive to your business, both in the short term and the long term. So that's on tap next week, Jeff, for Relead, and I'll kick it back over to you.
Yeah, no, sorry about that, guys. My Wi-Fi on my computer here because we've got storms. So, anyways, I appreciate that, man. And one of the things one of the reasons why I had Matt on is I wanted him to make sure he had an opportunity to share what we're going to be covering next week. Now, because we did lose Wi-Fi and we had a lot more to get through, we will do the scripts at a later Relead session. So if you or someone you know needs to hear this material, please feel free to have them register at gloveru.com/Relead. Get them registered, get them signed up. Do us a favor. Get out there. You heard some great quotes today, some great lines today. Share it with as many people as you can. We're going to be scouring the internet for #Relead, #GloveRU. Every week we're giving good.
Jeff, you're muted. You can see it. You're muted.
Myself and out. Make sure you get people out there, and we'll have a great day. Did you have something to say, Matt?
Nope, I was just making sure everybody could hear you. So fantastic.
Tune in deeper in the scripts in another session. See you later. Have a good one.